Hey everyone, Yasin here, and today I'm going to show you how I draw a head in perspective. And it's not so much a tutorial as it is just a demonstration, because I've seen a lot of people ask, um, why would I need perspective if all I do is draw heads or something like this? And it is useful. Perspective's useful in everything. So I'm starting out by just doing a side, and I'll do a basic front view of the proportions of the head. And the X's you see, like you see I joined the corners, that is to find the center of the face. So if you join any rectangle, the corners from one side to the other, and where those points cross is going to give you where the middle of that rectangle is. And then you can create a line straight up and down, and that creates the center of the face, and a horizontal line that cuts the face in half, and it's very effective. So I can use the side view and use it to check where the things in the front view are. So here we go with the actual head in perspective, and I'm treating this very loose because that's how I do it when I draw in perspective. I tend not to be super precise because I don't know, I find when, and this is probably not even a good thing, but I find for myself when I do get too anal about things, I just slow down. And so it doesn't bother me that, for instance, these lines aren't perfectly straight. I'm almost doing that on purpose. And then the next thing I'm doing is getting in like a basic ball shape for the proportions of the head. So it's almost like thinking without the perspective, just so you, I think anyway, it's easier to get a sense of proportions when you don't think about the perspective, and more just like how much space is this head taking up, and then you bring in the perspective. So this allows me to, in general, say, okay, I want the head in this area. Now, the first thing I did is I went from the side and I got the jaw in, because the jaw, if you can see on the side view, where it starts, roughly where the ear is in the middle of the head. So, okay, so that's in the middle and the side. And then I got the bottom of the jaw in because the front of the tip of the chin is on the front plane and it's at the bottom in the middle. So then I have the side middle and the front middle, and I create the jaw coming around. And I don't know, it's useful to me because it's combining the two planes then. So it's turning it from not just two like flat surfaces, it's making them three-dimensional. And you can do this where you just like touch the side of your face near your ear and trace a line down the underneath of the underside of your jawbone, and you will feel how it comes forward towards the chin, and that's what I'm trying to get in. And then everything else is just sort of looking at what crosses over where. But I'm using maybe 50-50. I'm looking at like the reference and like, okay, this is where this feature goes, and the other part is just feeling it out, because I found if I get, again, I mentioned this before, that if I get too anal about things, it just gets really stiff. So you want to combine these two things. And I gave him this weird facial hair. Well, maybe it's not weird if you have facial hair like this. I'm sure it's perfectly lovely. But I just wanted to make more markers in a way, so I have more to work with. And I kept this real time so that you can see really what I'm doing. And I mean, I sped up the beginning part with the side of the face and the front of the face because I don't know if seeing that in real time is really important. But yeah, a lot of it is looking at this. Whenever you need information, you look at the side view and look at the front view. So the side view is telling me how that head moves back in space. Like, oh, his forehead is pretty sloped and it goes back, and then, you know, what's his eye shape? And is it the front view that tells that better, or is it the side view? Now, with this, it's a 3/4 view, so you already need to know the basics of a 3/4 view. I don't think this is very beginner, drawing a head in perspective. But it is something that I think it's important to know, or at least important to be able to do, because I don't know, I use basic perspective all the time. It's not complicated perspective. It's not even 100% correct perspective. But as long as it's close enough, well, I don't want to say close enough. I want to say decent. As long as it's decent, it's good, and it's I don't know. All I mean is you don't need to be technically perfect. You're not doing like vehicle design, in which case you would need much better perspective. You just want to make sure things are going to the right vanishing points, and this understanding, it applies to figure drawing too, where if you have a figure in space, you just want to make sure things like the collarbones, that they're going to a vanishing point, and the hip bones are going to a vanishing point, the feet and the ground are going to a vanishing point. And I don't know, I guess this is more for an intermediate artist, and maybe it is for a beginner, just in the sense that I want people to, again, I'm repeating myself. And the reason I'm repeating myself is because I'm like 7 minutes in the video, and it's real time, so I've got like so much time to kill. And I don't really know what to say. Because the main points have been covered, like, how do you know where to put something? Well, look at the front view. If that doesn't tell you the answer, look at the side view. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to outline the box in red, and so you will see how the head fits in a box and what I'm sort of paying attention to. So there you can see where the front plane is and where the side plane is. And the thing that I'm trying to show with this side plane is, notice how the nose and a bit of the brow and a bit of the lip, the muzzle area of the jaw, goes in front of that that central, not central, the front of the front line, what do you call it? Front line. The front lines. Whatever. It goes in front of that. So you have to have that in your drawing as well, where if you imagine this box, it would be, maybe it's not a box, maybe it's a force field, but the force field would be touching those points, and the nose, like the points of the face that are touching that line, but the points that go out are outside. So the nose, so here I'm showing, okay, whatever, here I'm gonna make it more clear. I'm gonna draw a center line. So there's where my center line is. That's in the box, and now that part came out of the box. But yeah, see, you should be able to do this as well. This is really important to be able to do in drawing when you get a bit more confident and you've solved some basic things. So here I'm just using this teal color to show the parts that are outside of that box. But you should definitely be able to draw center lines like this pretty confidently, because that way you know your structure is correct. If you can't do this, then that's something you definitely want to work on. You want to be able to make center lines and get in the habit of doing this even for figure drawing. It's something that it might be a bit difficult at first. It might require some thinking in order to know, okay, where does this go? How does this follow the form? But it's very important. And what I see often is people will sort of get the oval down, like the basic shape of the head. And here, what I'm showing is how you can subdivide a box. So again, if you want to find the quarter point, you break the box into half and then break it into half again by creating the X, which gives you the midpoint. And then you can connect those and the lines go towards the vanishing points. But as I was saying before, you create this oval shape, and then people will often create the crosshair, but the crosshair is a flat line, right? It goes from the top of the head down and the side across. That is not a contour line. That's just saying like a rough indication of where the middle of the face is. But what I'm saying by the center line is a contour line. It means it follows the form. It means it goes from the top of the head and goes all the way around. It goes to the back, and then it comes so all up the back and goes around the top of the head, and then it goes down the front of the head, and it goes down the forehead, and then it goes in a bit underneath your brow, your eyebrow ridge, and then it goes out the nose, and it goes down and things. So that's what I would suggest practicing. Even if you're not doing perspective, I think that is important to get, just because it will remind you that you're not just drawing a flat something. It's like you're trying to represent a 3D form on a 2D surface. So these things need to work. And here I'm just adding, like, I don't know, decorations or something to show how I would be thinking if I wanted to add more things, like how to think about these things in perspective. How, okay, so there's a V shape. Well, the top of the V should be going towards the vanishing point as well. And I created some horns, so you can see, well, in the side view, the horns come out that much, and in the side view we see how high the horns are and how far forward they are. In the front view we see how high they are and how wide apart they are. So with those two pieces of information you can get the 3/4 view, and 3/4 views just give you way more info than front or side views, which is why they're used a lot. If you had to do character design and you only had one view to show, you would probably show front 3/4 because it would give you the most information. And so you need to be able to do 3/4 views, and 3/4 views, if you're not bullshitting, it requires a bit of perspective. So I hope this inspires you, if you don't like perspective, to sort of give it a shot, maybe, because it did for me, where I really felt in the beginning perspective was used for buildings and environments and mechanical things, and I thought, well, I'm just drawing figures, I don't like to draw that stuff, so therefore I don't need perspective. And that is not the case, especially when it comes to doing any kind of comic work. When you're making comics, oh boy, do you need perspective, because you need the perspective for the environments and the rooms and everything, but people occupy that space, so they need to be in perspective too. And then once you do perspective a lot, it just stops being this scary thing. It becomes easier, you get faster at it. So it requires a lot of practice. So yeah, I hope this helped, and thanks for watching.